Welcome to It's Not God's Fault. Hi, I'm Yoli. This is the final episode in our Red Flags series. The purpose of today's episode is to understand why we ignore the red flags and how to spot them sooner. This episode is about awareness. Why do we ignore red flags? We ignore them because sometimes we're not familiar with peace, so chaos feels more familiar. We might ignore them because we've already been traumatized and trained to survive instead of evaluate. The fear of being alone outweighs the fear of being harmed, and a trauma bond will feel like love. We also ignore them because the abuse escalates slowly and nothing feels quite bad enough at the beginning. We don't ignore red flags because we're stupid. We ignore them because we've been conditioned to. I ignored the red flags of knowing that my ex-husband waited with a gun to kill his girlfriend's lover. I ignored the red flag when he threw a fit in public over a meal he thought wasn't made right. I ignored the red flags of watching him call his mother a bitch. I even ignored the red flags of our history of having a violent relationship before we got married. But those weren't random, they're all connected. What red flags actually are patterns. They are showing us how that person is going to handle stress, boundaries, and power. It shows them how they feel, not just what they do. If you keep making excuses for someone else's behavior, you need to pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to that. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't have to. Here are some ways that you can spot red flags. First of all, listen to how they react to being told no. Second, how do they treat restaurant personnel and their family? Pay attention to how you feel. Are you anxious or nervous? Do you find yourself changing just to keep peace? Do you feel like you're having to shrink? Are you constantly apologizing? How does your stomach feel? Do you have a knot in your stomach or a lump in your throat? Pay attention to those. Those are red flags. Your body is trying to tell you something. Oftentimes, our body will know before our brain does. The most overlooked red flag that nobody ever talks about is what your body is feeling. Your gut, how you minimize your fear and you explain away your discomfort. Those are inward red flags. That is your own body and your own heart telling you, hey, pay attention. When you are disappearing in a relationship, pay attention to that. That's a red flag. You don't have to prove anything to earn safety. You can slow down in relationships. You can pay attention to the promises and the patterns or the broken promises. You can talk about what feels safe with other people. You can learn what calm feels like. Do not spiritualize suffering. Trust the discomfort instead of dismissing it. Again, you don't have to prove anything to earn safety. You are not broken. You're learning. Awareness is power. Red flags lose power when you name them. And when you see red flags, you're not being cynical. You're learning to become free. Consider reflecting on your own patterns. Write about it. Journal. Re-listen to these episodes. Share this with someone who needs it. Click the link in my bio. I have a free download on how to identify red flags. Thank you for listening. This is Yoli. Stay tuned for my new book called Not What God Promised.